Well, welcome to the Cookman. I know you might be wondering of how certain foods are cooked. That is why I am taking you all the way to Africa. We're in Africa, Ghana. There's one Ghanaian guy who wants to teach us how a jollof is cooked. Are you ready? Let's get to it. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Great. Can you please introduce yourself a little bit to us?
Okay, so my name is Steven Asamel, and I'm here to show you how to make jollof.
Alright, Steven, let's get to it.
Alright.
Can you please show us your ingredients?
So we've got our onions, we've got our Maggi cube over here, we've got some peppers that we're going to use to make it a bit spicy, and we've got lots of different herbs and spices to be able to use in our food, and our rice and our tomatoes.
That's great, man. I know for us, some of us, kitchen is not our passion, but this guy really loves cooking, and so he's here. Let's see what you got, and so let's start right away, and then let's do it. Okay, so you can start for us to.
Alright, so to go through this,
Okay.
I'm going to be going through a recipe that I have saved, so I'm going to keep in charge of my phone. But to begin, we're going to start with cutting up our onions.
Okay.
So,
I'm here in case you need any help. I'm here. Okay.
alright.
All right.
So I'm going to start cutting up the onions. I'm going to use 4 of them because we're using smaller onions.
Oh, okay.
Normally we would use 2 larger onions.
All right.
Whether they're the red or yellow onions doesn't really matter. It's really personal preference.
Okay.
So I'll just cut them up into smaller pieces before we put them into the blender.
All right. You measure
The cover. So to this, we're going to add a little bit of oil.
Okay.
About, I believe, a tablespoon or a teaspoon. So I'll take my oil over here. The type of oil that you use for this doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Right now we're using canola oil, I believe.
Canola oil. Let me see. Okay. So that's your oil, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you've been using all the time, or this is?
Usually it alternates based on what we actually have. So it could be canola oil or it could be olive oil based on what we actually have.
Okay. So based on what you have. Okay. All right. Let's see.
So I'll just add that little too.
You measure the oil too?
Yes, based on the actual.
Because I thought you were gonna use water to blend it.
No, we want to avoid using water as much as possible in the early parts of it because the more water that we have, the longer that it will take to actually cook.
To cook. Okay. All right.
So, got our blender ready. Get blending. Turn it on.
Do you only blend your onion? You don't blend it together with any other ingredients?
We start with just the onions, and then the other ingredients, like for the tomatoes and for the spices that we'll eventually add.
Yeah. Okay.
Those. So now I have my onions all blended.
Okay.
And the next step that we're going to do is we're going to get the stove ready by turning on the stove and preheating the oil.
All right.
So we're going to be using 1/3 cup of oil for.
What do you say? The
1/3 cup.
Oh, 1/3 cup. Okay. All right. So he has his oil inside the bowl right now. Okay.
So we're going to allow this to heat up for a little while, and then we're going to put in our onions.
Okay, so this is going to heat up a little bit, and then
we want it to be hot before we actually pour the onions inside.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think we're at the point where our oil is hot enough, so we're going to actually pour in our onion solution. So here's our onions.
Okay.
Yep. So, you want to be careful here
because
because you don't want to get burned.
Don't worry. Yeah, see.
So for right now, we're just going to cover this and allow it to boil a bit. Okay. We want to allow it to go for about 10 minutes so that it browns a bit before we start adding anything else.
So you're going to let it sit on the stove for about 10 minutes before.
So I'll just start a 10-minute timer so that's, I remember while we're going.
Alright, so now you have The onion on the stove. What else are you going to do?
So we have the onions on the stove.
Okay.
We're going to leave that running for 10 minutes.
All right.
We want to keep periodically checking and stirring it while we're going. But right now we're going to prep the tomatoes.
All right. Okay.
So right now we're going to start with our diced tomatoes.
Okay.
So we're going to be using 1 can of diced tomatoes.
What kind of tomatoes? Let's see it. Do you have any specific tomato that you use for this, or any paste, or?
Usually, I don't have a specific brand.
Okay.
You could get the regular diced tomatoes that don't have the Italian.
Cutting the tomatoes dice.
All right. So
All right.
Open.
Okay.
Get our diced tomatoes.
Okay.
And we're going to blend them.
All right.
So we're gonna get our blender.
Okay.
Normally we could rinse this out, but since we're going to be using it again, we're going to just...
Oh, so you're going to blend the diced tomatoes?
Yes. We're going to blend the diced tomatoes with our tomato paste, and then we're also going to include our pepper.
The way he does his thing is so different from the way I thought. Okay, anyway, so you're going to combine this together with the paste and then blend them together, right? Yep. All right, let's see how you do it.
Okay, so I'm going to pour this in.
Okay.
At this point now, I should probably check on the onions.
Okay.
So just going to open this.
All right. Can we see how the onions look?
So this is our progress on onions.
Okay.
So they're starting to brown, but they're not there yet. So
Okay.
not really reached that medium mark. So we've poured our diced tomatoes. Now we're gonna get our tomato paste. For this, right now we're using crushed tomatoes, but you could normally use diced tomato. You could normally use tomato paste.
Okay.
The one that I normally use is a smaller can.
Okay.
Something like this.
Okay, so normally this is the kind of tomatoes that you use.
Yeah.
Okay.
So normally I'd use 2 of these or something similar, but for this, right now we're going to use about half of this.
Half of the tomatoes. Okay. All
Your
right.
crushed tomatoes.
Okay.
Yep.
And so why then did you not choose the same one as you use all the time?
It was just based on availability.
Okay. All right.
So since this is pretty large, we're probably only going to use about half of it. So I'll just pour this in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it. Okay.
All right.
And then next we're going to add our pepper.
Oh.
This is the pepper that we have.
Okay.
Usually we'd use habanero pepper.
Okay.
But any type of hot pepper really would do.
Okay.
So we'll just take one. We could cut it up, but since we're going to be blending it, we might as well just put it in like that. So.
So you just take one of your pepper?
Yep. And then we add it to our blender. And now we're going to blend everything.
Yes.
Take our cover for the blender.
Okay. So you're gonna blend your garlic and then the others ones separate, right? The other spices.
We want to blend them separately while the onions are cooking on the stove, and then we'll be adding them after.
After. Alright. Okay.
Really, we want to be stirring them in as we're pouring.
Okay.
So we'll just open this up.
Alright.
You can have a look at the tomatoes for the consistency that they sort of have.
Alright.
We're getting ready.
Can you go down a little bit for us? Okay. Alright.
Let me just take this out.
Okay. Alright.
Alright, so we're going to pour in our tomatoes. We want to be stirring as we're doing this.
Okay.
So we're going to turn up the heat a bit because we're going to want this to boil for a little while. So
Alright.
I'm going to turn up the heat.
Okay.
And now we get to our herbs and spices. So cut it up and blend it, but for the purposes of this, we're going to be using ginger powder.
Alright, okay.
We also have our herbs.
Oh,
that we're
herbs.
going to be using.
Okay.
We're going to be just adding a little bit of these to our...
It is just only herbs, or it has a specific name?
Just called herbs.
Alright,
you can find them at any of your grocery type stores.
Okay.
And then we also have our garlic powder.
Oh,
You could use actual garlic and cut it as well, but just for simplicity's sake, we're going to be using garlic powder. And for our actual spices, we're going to be adding a little bit of all-purpose seasoning, seasoning salts. This is something called Goya adobo. I don't know exactly what it is, but like my family uses it, they put this on pretty much everything that we eat. So I'm going to be adding a bit of this.
But the seasoning, I thought, ooh, you only use this for chicken, or no, or you don't do that?
It could be used for chicken, but we're going to be adding a little bit of this.
Okay.
And then also we have, it says black pepper, but what this really is...
Black pepper. Okay.
Yeah, what this really is it's just replaced, it's curry powder. So we're going to be adding some of that.
Okay.
And then maybe some black pepper.
Okay. But is it the only ingredient sometimes you use, or you have any other ingredients?
These are the main ones that I would use, but it's really up to you what you want to use. You can add your own little combinations to get the flavor that you're looking for.
You can see right now that it's not just only one ingredient that you can use. You have other alternatives in case you don't want to use the ones that he has. Yeah, hello viewers, and so he's going to add his other spices into it. Okay, so
So we're going to be adding about a teaspoon's worth of each of our 3 spices here. Let me just turn down the stove a bit because it's boiling too much.
All the way down. Okay.
So we're going to add our ginger.
You're going to add your ginger. You added your ginger.
Gonna add. Still. Is it all?
Just be careful. Yes, you can. Okay, you know what? Let's start there all the way again.
On medium to high heat.
Okay.
And we're gonna allow this to go for about 30 minutes. So to the point where the amount of stew that's in here, about half of it is there. Okay. We're basically trying to boil out all the water.
All the water.
So we'll just keep letting that go for about 30 minutes.
Okay.
We'll keep stirring intermittently to make sure nothing burns.
And then, okay, that's it. The food will be almost ready. Hello everyone. So now he has all his ingredients inside. He has the tomatoes, he has the onion, he has the pepper and all other spices added to it. He's now going to let it sit on the stove for about 30 minutes.
Okay. So I forgot to mention this before, but just to bring out some of the flavor, we're going to add a little bit of salt.
Okay.
So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt.
Okay.
And then we're going to stir it in.
Okay. You have your salt in. Okay. Alright. Okay.
We're going to put it back on heat.
Back on the heat.
And cover it up.
Alright.
So avoid the splashing.
Okay.
And then we're going to turn our heat back up a bit.
Back up. Okay.
And we're going to leave it like that to go for the full 30 minutes. It's been about 5 minutes, so we're going to let it go for the 30 minutes to decrease the amount of water that's inside.
Alright.
Now we're at basically our last step.
Okay.
So we're going to be adding the rice.
Okay.
We've gotten to the point where we've boiled out most of the water inside our tomato paste.
Okay.
So we're going to add our rice.
Alright.
I measured out about 4 cups of rice here.
Okay.
And we're going to be adding that to our stew mix here.
Okay.
And we're going to stir it out a bit.
Okay.
Just to mix it up.
Okay. Then you're gonna put this back on the stove.
Yes. We gotta add a bit of our water.
Okay.
The water that we're gonna add is about 1 cup of water. So I'm just going to measure that out over here.
Okay. So now he has added the rice, the cup of rice. What was the milliliters?
For the rice, the rice was 4 cups.
Oh, okay. So you have and then you going to add a bit of
water.
Okay.
So we're going to add 1 cup of water now. Ideally, we would just have this 1 cup of water, and as we go through, we'll add a little bit of water
in the process.
If we see that the rice is too hard, or just to soften it up a bit.
But this wasn't a full cup of water.
Yep. So it's going to be it's going to evaporate as we're cooking the rice.
Okay.
We're going to be covering it up with some aluminum foil to sort of insulate it so that evaporation goes pretty quickly.
Alright, okay.
And we'll leave it on there for about 30 minutes.
Alright, okay.
So we'll put it back on our heats. So for this part here that we're going through with the rice cooking under the aluminum foil, we're going to set the stove to low heat. We don't really want it boiling at this part, so we're just going to leave it at low heat.
Okay, and so how many minutes are you leaving it on?
We're going to leave it for the full 30-ish minutes.
Okay.
25, 30-ish minutes.
Okay.
And we'll be checking in between, we'll be stirring the rice just to make sure it doesn't burn underneath, and checking in between to check the texture, the consistency of the rice.
Alright, okay. Thank you so much. Alright, so now we're going to check if the food or the rice is almost ready. Let's see how it is.
So we're just going to remove this and check.
What?
Wow, it looks like we're almost there.
Can you guys see it? It looks so great. And it has cooked very well too.
Yep.
Okay.
So now we're just going to stir it, check for the consistency, and to make sure that it's not burnt.
It's not burnt, and then
I'm stirring it a bit just to even out the cooking, so that it's not all cooking out the same place, so that it's not burnt in one specific area.
Oh, okay.
Alright. So now I'll just cover it up again, and we'll keep letting it go till it's finished.
Okay. So
alright. So now I'll just cover it up again, and we'll keep letting it go till it's finished.
Okay. At this point, how many minutes are you leaving it?
It's more or less almost done now, probably 5 minutes maybe.
5 minutes? Okay. Alright.
So our food is complete, and here's our end product. So you see we have our jollof here, beautifully placed. We have our eggs, and we also have a little salad that we added to the side, For those of us that like salad.
This food, you can be eating this food with salad and then egg, right?
Yep.
And then what other thing can you choose too?
So it really depends on you. Normally I'd be eating this with, chicken like everybody else likes, but for the purposes here, we'll just be eating with egg.
Oh, with egg. Right.
So I brought this extra fork here. You want to try some?
Of course. Let me have a taste. Alright, so guys, I'm going to try it to see how the food tastes, okay? The food tastes so delicious and it's so flavorful. I wish everybody is here to try this food. And I can't imagine you made this food yourself, You look so... Let me try one more time. I'll have one more taste before I talk. So, this is a Ghanaian food. Ghanaian jollof, not any other jollof, Ghanaian jollof, right? Because we have so many different jollofs. Some are coming from Senegal, some are coming from Nigeria, some are coming from which other part of Africa too. But this, other part of Africa, but this is a Ghanaian jollof made by a Ghanaian. Thank you so much.
Is the best jollof.
It's the best jollof. Don't let the Nigerians reach your place. Alright, and so I'll encourage everyone to try this kind of food in their house. It's so made simple. Those seem very hard, but then when you try your hands on, It's so easy. So try Ghanaian's jollof and then you will love it. Thank you so much. Bye.